Hey, Dave, good morning. I was wondering if you could maybe give us your assessment of Jeff's decision making in his first college game and how he performed under pressure.
Well, I think the biggest testament to how he played was that if you just put the game on and you were just watching it and you were just a casual fan, you would have never known that he was a freshman making the first start of his college career. I mean, he played with great patience. He didn't get rattled. He threw a couple picks early. Very resilient, bounced back, got the coaching points down, understood what the issues were. He wasn't too high or too low. I don't think you can ever play a great quarterback by being too high or too low. Honestly, that was one of the concerns that I had going in was, his history with Florida State and the ultimate breakup that they had, whatever. And then, whether or not he was going to just be able to stay within himself and play within himself and not be over anxious going out there. So any freshman making a start in his first game, I think is very difficult, and making it against a team that you were committed to, I think is even more difficult. That being said, you would have never known it. I mean, he was cool as a cucumber. He was great on the sideline. He was great on the phones. I talked to him about the different coverages and the looks that he was getting. And he was great. The staff did a great job with him. Joe Battaglia is my assistant quarterback coach, who's our GA. He's been with me for a long, long time. Knows our system inside and out. And he was able to get in his ear. And Kerry Dixon's a good mentor for Jeff, who was very heavily involved in the recruiting with him. And the staff did a great job with him on the sideline. So you guys tell me. I mean, the kid out there, and he played his tail off. So we're really excited about what he did, and that he got it under his belt. I think that's a positive, but that has no bearing on what we're going to be doing moving forward. He's got to prepare like that every week and go out and perform.
Next question comes from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Dave. I had a question about a specific play. You went for it on 4th and 1, I think, inside your territory, first drive. And maybe that speaks a little bit to your confidence in Jeff, but kind of what went into that decision and kind of what does it say? What does it mean?
That was really a Coach Collins decision and an analytics decision to say that, we are going to be aggressive with our 4th down calls coming out of the gate. And so Coach and I had conversations about that. Like, look, if you get to this yard line on 4th down, if it's 4th and 1, we're going for it. And it held true. He was like, hey, be ready for this. If this goes to 4th and 1, be ready for it. We had the call. We practiced the call all camp. And, we just executed it well. I thought we did a good job on our 3rd and shorts and our 4th down stuff. So it was going in. I knew that was going to be the case. And Coach pulled the trigger on it, and we executed.
Next question comes from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Dave. It seemed like you were just much more comfortable with the way Jeff threw the intermediate passes, and you called a game to get him confidence early. Can you just kind of talk about having that element back in your offense that was really kind of missing last year, and how much easier it makes your job as a coordinator? Because it seemed like you seemed much more comfortable too with what you were calling and being able to get kind of more of a flow with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that was one of the things that we talked about, in preseason, is being able to get the intermediate pass game going, and being able to throw balls from 8 to 15 yards and complete balls. We wanted to get them off to a good start, so that's kind of why that we sprinted on the first play, and we thought that we might get a soft corner over there and just throw the hitch and get them going and get some confidence going. We got the look that we thought we were going to get, and we zipped it out there. And honestly, the second play of the game was an RPO. And I wasn't even looking at the throw. He just yanked it and threw the bender in there to Amari Brown, and I didn't even see the throw. And then he just went with it from there. He was very confident. He was very poised. He read things very, very well. We had some little tweaks that they hadn't seen before as far as RPOs, and he had no concern about pulling the ball and throwing the ball at all. He was not hesitant. He pulled the trigger really well. And, when you're able to do that, it sets up your run game and your screens and things like that. I thought we played with great tempo. So we had them on their heels a little bit, moving the ball down the field. We made too many mistakes that ultimately hurt us. We caught the ball really, really well. We had one drop, but when you look at the tape, the guys made some amazing catches and helped Jeff out. And then he targeted the ball well. So when you're doing all of those things and really doing an amazing job protecting, it's a lot easier for me to say, hey, we're going to drop back and throw it 30 times when the quarterback's not getting hit. So it was a collective effort. The coaches did a great job of prepping them, and we played really good across the board.
Our next question comes from Patrick Canaro from the Dahlonega Nugget.
Good morning, Coach. I just want to don't want to overtalk the Jeff Sims topic, but I just want to point out the two things to me that made the most impressive mark on his calm and poise were his touch throws and also his willingness to get down on the ground or get out of bounds on an unplanned run. And I just wonder if if that's been a matter of teaching, or is that innate for him, or somewhere in between?
So I think that, the biggest thing with him is he's deceptively athletic, right? When you look at him, he's kind of tall and lean and that type of thing, but he's tough, and he runs the ball like he wants to run the ball. There's some quarterbacks in these type of offenses where you ask them to run the ball and they run it begrudgingly, and then they scramble and then they slide and it looks kind of messy, and they're just doing it to get out of the way and to appease you. They would much rather throw an RPO than pull it and run it. But I mean, one of the first plays of the game, we read a speed sweep and he pulled it and he ran it through the backside, and ran the backside safety over and that type of thing. And we've had to have conversations with him throughout camp to say, hey, listen, you're not going to make it through a whole season if you try to be a fullback. Okay, when you have a chance to run it and you get through the second level, and be smart with it. If you could get on the ground, get on the ground. If you could get out of bounds, get out of bounds. Okay, you're getting a sizable scholarship to throw the football around, not to be a fullback. But when there was a few of them on third down, he pulled it, and we had a read called, and he pulled it, and he put his pads down, and he went and got the first down. So, it's got to be a mixture of that in this type of offense, which makes us much more dynamic when that player is a threat to, one, pull the ball and run it, and two, pull the ball and throw the RPO. So now you can't always just gang up on the run. They tried to gang up on the run early in the game, and we threw a couple RPOs over their heads, and that kind of settled them down a little bit. But, he was very willing. As a matter of fact, Joe Battaglia got on the phone with me and said, hey, I'm passing a message along to you from Jeff. And I said, okay, cool, what's that? He goes, don't be afraid to have some called runs for me. And I said, listen, you just tell the young boy, just sit back there and keep slinging the ball around. We'll be okay.
A question next from Gene Fournette from the Florida Times Union in Jacksonville.
Hey, Coach. Could you just talk about when you signed Jeff shortly after Mike Norvell was named the coach at FSU, did you have an inkling at that point that this guy could come in as a true freshman and do what he did on Saturday?
Oh, absolutely. I had that the whole time. I knew exactly what he could do. No, I mean, there's so many variables in there, you know what I mean? I knew that he had a lot of talent. I knew that he could throw the ball. I knew he was really athletic. But until you get a young quarterback on campus and you see how he kind of just develops and what his personality is like and how does he learn, then you really can't tell other than just the physical pieces of it. The thing that's been tremendous with him is his willingness to study, his willingness to get in his playbook and in the cut-ups. He stopped by in between classes yesterday and was like, hey, what do these guys do? I want to know. That's the kind of mentality that you have to be elite. And you don't know that when you recruit these guys, right? I mean, you watch their tape and, you kind of get an idea of who they are from their family and, their personalities and that type of thing. But until you're under pressure, until you're under the gun, you never know how they're going to perform. So that's the thing I was really most proud of, is he just went in there and it was just another day. Let's just go play ball. And we had a conversation earlier in the week. I was kind of prepping him for the whole thing, And we had a conversation, and he was just like, Coach, you know what? This is what I do. I know that I'm pretty good at it. I love doing this. So let's just go out and play. And I was like, all right, man. If that's how you feel, I'm great, man. You're making my job a lot easier.
Time for a couple more for Coach Patenaude. We've got a follow-up question from Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
Hey, Dave, you completed passes to 10 different receivers. How difficult does that make it for your opponents to game plan your offense?
I think very difficult, right? I mean, we're not targeting one guy specifically. Historically, the way that this works, and I tell the guys this the first day, like, you don't know where the ball's going to go. I'm going to call a play, and based on what the defense does, that's going to tell the quarterback where to throw the ball, right? So, I might even trying to be throwing to AB or something like that, and they may roll the coverage or they may double team them and that type of thing. There was one awesome play in the middle of the game. We ran a cover, a quarters beater, a cover 8 beater. That they had showed on tape. We motioned them in, and we got this whole elaborate scheme lined up, and we're going to throw this deep post and all of this kind of thing. And they were in a totally different coverage. They spun to a single safety look, and Jeff very calmly went backside and threw a glance to Malachi Carter, who made a great catch in traffic. I mean, that, you don't know. So we'd like to be able to spread the ball around. We played a bunch of different guys because it was pretty hot down there, and we were playing at a good tempo. We have good depth. We're really confident in the guys that came in. And, then like Dante Smith comes in at the end of the game, and we screen him a couple, and he gets out in space. And, so it's really good that these guys have, really understand what we're doing. The execution was really high. There was very, very few blown assignments. And so it makes it a lot easier to be able to do that and not have to call a specific play against a specific look, but knowing that the ball is going to get distributed where it should get distributed based on what the defense is. And guys, I would really be remiss if I didn't take a couple minutes to just say what an unbelievable job the offensive line did. Our progress from our ability to pass protect from day one when we first got here to where we are now is, I don't even know what the words are. Very rarely, was he under pressure. Now, he did a good job of moving around, and he was good in the pocket and that type of thing. But the running backs, the tight ends, the line, the preparation, what Brent Key and Tashard Choice taught those guys in the offseason about understanding, protections and just patience and balance and picking up twists. And that was an unbelievable defensive line we just played. And they spent, very few times were they in our backfield. As a matter of fact, even on some of the pressures that we took, they were in a 6-7-man pressures. So, I would just, big applaud to those guys up front. It just makes your life so much easier when you don't have to max protect. If you want to max protect, you can. If you want to release 5, you can. If you want to screen them, you can. And it all starts with those guys up front being able to stand in the way. They did an unbelievable job.
Our final question is one more from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Dave, I was just curious what you've seen on Central Florida on film and kind of what you're going to be looking for as you, get ready for this game.
Yeah. They are a man coverage team. That's who they want to be. They're going to play, a bunch of different variations of man coverage. There's not a lot of zone blitzing in Coach Shannon's defense. They are an attacking, pressured, no room to throw it kind of group. And, so the soft, intermediate throws, they're not going to give those up. They're going to contest all throws, a lot like our defense. They're going to be up playing a lot of press coverage. They're not a huge blitz unit. They do have their, a good blitz scheme, especially on third down. But they are more of a, a man coverage, quarters man cover, a man-free team. They're, a veteran group. They've won a lot of games. They know how to win. We've had some really good battles with them when we were at the last spot. We have a pretty good idea of of what their base is, but they could watch something from the Florida State game and say, hey, we really like that, we're going to install that. Or there might be some stuff that they've been working on that we haven't seen, they haven't played yet. But they have a good group of dudes, and they are very, very athletic. I mean, that was the one thing that has always stood out, is they're very athletic. They run to the ball like their hair's on fire, and they're really a relentless group of guys. So it's a big challenge, man. They're a top 25 team for a reason, and it's going to be a great go.